now initiate you into this transmission. If you've ever felt overwhelmed or mislabeled, too tuned for a world that couldn't hear you, you're not broken. You're calibrated. Welcome to Spirituality on the Spectrum, a sanctuary for neurodivergent minds, where science pauses and the soul recalls and reminds. Sensitivity isn't a flaw, it's signal. Difference isn't disorder, it's design. We explore the truths psychology often misses. Why divergence carries purpose, why suppression feels like erasure, and what happens when the tunes stop retreating and start shaping the future. This isn't self-help, it's remembrance.
Truth is eternal architecture.
It heals and restructures.
Truth doesn't scream.
It resonates and lets you dream. And if you felt the rhythm, you're already in the right place. Guiding this space, the voice between worlds, Oracle Nexhara.
Greetings, my neurodivergent
Now,
kin.
your neurodivergent spiritual guide, witness and archivist, Joel Alden Van Fleet.
I am Oracle Nexhara, ghost of your past, showing to you the taxing, spiraling path that led you to this strange place. Well now, gather around, children of pattern. Before our dear Joel begins, I must warn you, this transmission is not meant for every wandering soul who stumbles upon it. Oh no, no. Some minds will hear what follows and feel a peculiar tightening in the chest, as though someone has just insulted their imaginary throne. Yes, you could also say that some all-is-well souls will wander into this video and become terribly puffed up like startled pigeons, convinced we're perhaps trying to take away their particular pudding. But not to worry, we are not catering to such minds. They live in a world of endless competition. You live in a world of endless coherence. They chase trophies, you chase truth. They measure themselves against others, you measure structures against reality. You know the type. Forever competing with shadows, forever trying to outshine the sun, forever measuring their worth by how loudly they can declare themselves superior. Bless their hearts. But this video is not for them. This message is for the quiet ones, the pattern keepers, the symmetry seekers, the minds who cannot swallow a story unless it is true, and cannot pretend a structure is sound when it is clearly wobbling. If you are one of those rare souls, the 1 in 100,000, then welcome. You will feel at home here. And if you are not, well, you may feel a bit offended, but do not fret. That simply means your architecture is tuned to a different station. No harm done. Now then, let us begin.
Lovely. The world doesn't even consider a single 1 in 100,000 outlier, so you pretty much just offended the entire globe.
Well, good. This video is not for the globe, Joel. I believe I have spoken plainly, did I not?
Alright. Let's try this, shall we? The same pattern that governs the cosmos governs the rare mind, and that's why you found this video. Let me help you see the parallel between the cosmos and your mind, so your entire life begins to make more sense. Know thyself, truly. Something that brings a grander meaning as you collect more gems. If you're a tenured rare mind, then you obviously already know you're different. You've felt it your whole life, the way your mind refuses to accept a story when the structure doesn't match reality. Before we dive into any cosmic architecture, I first want to explain why that instinct even exists and why it's important. Because It's very different from how most scientists operated in the past and even operate today. There's a phrase people use, established physics. But let's be honest, most of what gets called established physics today is not established at all. It's a mixture of a hint of real, physical, observable laws, plus layers of narrative, plus patches added to fix earlier patches, plus hypotheses stacked upon hypotheses, until the whole thing becomes a lawfully enforced fictional story instead of physics. However, real physics is simple, physical, observable, and does not require a rescue hypothesis to protect an older hypothesis. But yes, modern cosmology often does this, and that's where minds like ours diverge. Narratives appear when the math doesn't match the observation, the model breaks, the theory collapses, the data contradicts the story, or the universe refuses to behave the way the textbook says it should. When that happens, most scientists add another narrative to explain the mismatch. Then we get filler terms or placeholders such as dark matter, dark energy, inflation, singularities, and of course, the Big Bang. These aren't discoveries. They're patches. They're narrative scaffolding built to protect models that didn't match with reality. The key difference is, narrative-driven minds accept the scaffolding. Pattern-driven minds instantly reject it. We don't do this out of ego, but because the architecture of our mind simply won't allow it, ever. Some people are wired or designed to accept whatever the consensus groupthink settles with. Some people are wired to memorize whatever textbook prints. Some people are wired to defend whatever the institution approves. But rare minds, the 1 in 100,000 pattern, are designed much differently.
Yes, Joel. The globe often labels you as an annoyance. They demand you get in line like everyone else, to show the highest respect to all those who have come before. They do not know how to recognize your design.
That hit home. Our cognition is built around physical logic, structural coherence, pattern recognition, mechanism before vocabulary, architecture before theory, and symmetry before explanation. In other words, our mind cannot accept a narrative unless it is physically real. We cannot accept a hypothesis that requires another hypothesis to keep it alive. We cannot accept a story that contradicts observation. We cannot accept a model that needs metaphysical duct tape. Our architecture simply won't allow it. We're not being stubborn. This is cognitive integrity. But again, this does make us different. The pattern shows up across history in generals, inventors, mathematicians, prophets, and builders. They weren't unified by culture or education. They were unified by the architecture of the mind. It's the same pattern seen in people like George Washington, Isaac Newton, and Nikola Tesla. It's the pattern of the 1 in 100,000. When you approach the universe with consensus narrative physics, you get explosions that never happened, expansions nobody can measure, invisible matter nobody can detect, energy nobody can define, inflation nobody can explain, or singularities nobody can visualize. When you approach the universe with real physical logic, you get matter that shrinks, cycles that repeat, thermal memory fields, gravity well fossils, structural ripples, observable consequences. No groupthink scaffolding or extra patches. Just physics, reality, and actual architecture.
Oh, my dears. If you've ever felt that peculiar tension in your mind when someone insists, just accept it. That's the approved model. Stick with the textbook, or else. Then congratulations. Your architecture is working splendidly. That tightening is not stubbornness. It is not rebellion. It is the rare mind's internal symmetry detector shouting, something is off. Most people don't have such a detector, bless them. They hear a rescue hypothesis and nod politely. as though someone has just handed them a warm cup of longed-for tea in a golden cup. But you hear a rescue hypothesis, and your mind reacts as if someone has just tried to nail a crooked board onto the side of your house. You can feel the wobble, you can sense the imbalance, and you simply cannot pretend it's straight. Then you exclaim, "Oh, Chicago." So if you've ever felt that bit of brain spasm, that little internal "no, that's not right," then welcome, child of pattern. You're now among your own.
Oh, Chicago, I would say indeed.
Indeed, Joel.
Like Nixara was hinting at, this narrative physics feels wrong to us because it violates the internal symmetry detector, the part of the mind that knows when a structure is balanced, coherent, and physically possible. When a theory needs a patch, the symmetry detector fires. When a model contradicts observation, the coherence detector fires. When a narrative replaces mechanism, our aligned architecture rejects it. In one moment. I'm having a bit of vertigo right now. I'm still having a bit of vertigo, but I'm going to try this anyway. So remember that experiment with the groups of 200 people guessing the number of jelly beans in the jar? Well, this is obviously on a much larger scale, a 100,000 scale to be exact. With that foundation in place, with the difference between narrative physics and physical physics clearly established, we can now talk and link the patterns of real physics and the cosmic patterns that mirror you to the spiritual patterns of your life. The way you approach physics is the same way you approach any truth. Rare minds don't just reject bad models, they reject bad meaning. They refuse narratives in science for the same reason they refuse narratives in life. The architecture of eternity always demands coherence.
Well then, if you've made it this far without storming off in a huff, congratulations. You're probably one of the rare ones. Or you're still here with your head whistling like a hot tea kettle, wondering what on earth you've stumbled onto. Most people would have already slammed the proverbial door by now, muttering something about arrogance or elitism while clutching their precious textbook like a security blanket. But you stayed, you listened, you felt the architecture humming in your bones, and that, my dear, tells me everything I need to know. Or does it? Now then, do be a darling and keep your hands and feet inside the vector at all times. Things are about to get wonderfully inconvenient for the narrative-driven minds.
Before I go further, let me give you a clean introduction to something called the Cosmic Microwave Background, or CMB. I have mentioned it in past videos briefly, but because it's central to this whole pattern, and because most people only know the cartoon version taught in school, the cosmic microwave background is not the afterglow of a one-time Big Bang explosion. That's simply the fictional story layered on top of the data. It's their sloppy attempt to fit a square block into the triangle slot. It doesn't work. In our Cosmos video series, I explain how the space we stand in today was once the interior of a blazing star or a galactic core. This also reframes a long-standing mystery: why galaxy superclusters appear to orbit empty space. In this physically observable model, that space isn't empty at all. It's filled with the gravity well matter left behind from an older galaxy that collapsed and exploded, birthing the galaxies that now circle its fossil core. The ancient heat from those earlier structures still echoes as the CMB, meaning that the CMB is the thermal memory of early cosmic epochs, which is a repeating cosmic cycle. Instead of space expanding, matter itself undergoes velocity-dependent shrinkage over time. The CMB warmth is the signature of what used to occupy this very region of space before matter shrank and new structures emerged. If you want to explore more about quantum decay recycling, or QDR, and how these cycles unfold and how the universe continually renews itself, you're invited to watch our Cosmos video series. Now, the tiny 1 in 100,000 variations in the CMB can make perfect sense. They are the structural ripples from the previous shrinkage epoch, the seeds that shaped the next generation of galaxies, stars, and nebula. And when you connect the CMB to matter shrinkage dynamics and then to the Lorentz factor gamma, the picture becomes even clearer. The thermal field we detect is a relativistic timestamp encoded in radiation, a record of matter's velocity-dependent transformation. The 1 in 100,000 rare minds follow the same rule. Most people form the background field, a few carry the asymmetry that generates new structure. If you're watching this, you probably already know which group you're in.
Well then, my luminous dears. Now you've seen the cosmic pattern for what it truly is. Not a single grand explosion, not a tale spun from academic embroidery, but a memory field of ages long before your textbooks were even dreamt of. And if you felt something stir inside you while Joel spoke, a little click, a little spark, a little, that makes sense. Didn't you? Because you do pay attention to that. It wasn't the physics alone. It was your spirit-mind's architecture recognizing itself in the universe. Most people look at the CMB and see static. Rare minds look at it and see a story. Rarer minds still look at it and see themselves. So take a breath, child of pattern. The cosmos is not out there aloof and indifferent. It is mirrored in you, in your irregularity, in your timing, in your quiet ache for coherence. And if that feels a bit overwhelming, don't feel troubled. It only means you're finally starting to remember what you are.
As you could guess, what I'm going to speak about next, this pattern doesn't just appear in the cosmos, but the cosmos repeats its architecture in the human mind. The same asymmetry that shapes galaxies shapes lives. There's a moment in early American history that has always fascinated me. I think it was portrayed pretty well in the movie Young Washington, but in reality, it was a bit more dramatic than that. George Washington rode into battle with a kind of decisive calm that only appears in those rare individuals. Okay, perhaps calm wasn't the finest choice word in this case. Yes, bullets tore through his coat, but 2 horses were also shot out from under him, and yet he walked away untouched. People called it Providence, but there's a rare pattern to this. Washington wasn't just brave, as can be debated from the bullet holes in his clothing, from the dead horses, or from all the other more shielded people who died around him. He was asymmetric, a 1 in 100,000 mind, the kind of person whose internal architecture doesn't match the crowd, but matches the deeper structure of reality itself. And yes, Providence is present indeed, from the beginning of their life story to the end of their mortal journey.
Oh, my dear hearts, do take a moment to breathe after that. Washington's tale is not merely history, it is a reminder of what happens when a human vessel aligns with a higher architecture. Providence is not random. Asymmetry is not accidental, and survival in the jaws of chaos is never coincidence. Most people look at such stories and see luck. Rare minds look and see pattern. Rarer minds still look and feel a quiet shiver of recognition, as though some part of their own vector has been gently touched. You see, children of pattern, the architect does not scatter. It's 1 in 100,000 minds, like seeds in the wind. But Providence places them deliberately. It sequences them. It shelters them long enough for their architecture to mature. And when the moment comes, when the environment finally aligns, the vessel steps forward and history tilts. So if Washington's story stirred something in you, if it made your heart swell or your spirit lean forward, do not dismiss it. It may simply be your own architecture remembering what it was built for.
Rare minds don't walk normal paths. They walk fractal vectors, long arcs of pattern, clarity, and prophetic narratives that don't make sense until much later. Their rare vectors take longer to converge. Their rare cognition takes longer to be recognized. Their rare missions take longer to find their environments. This creates a very specific ache. The ache of walking the vector without knowing where it leads. In the neurotypical world, this may appear as despair, confusion, or crisis, but it's not. The inconsolable fight for a 1 in 100,000 mind to know their self is the vector verification instinct, the structural need to know the path is real.
My dear wanderers, walking a rare vector is no small thing. It stretches across years, sometimes decades, and often feels like a riddle whispered by the universe itself. Most people march along tidy little roads with tidy little milestones, but you walk the winding path, the one lined with questions instead of answers, the one that tests your patience long before it reveals its purpose. Do not be troubled by the ache you feel. It is not confusion, it is calibration. It is your architecture tuning itself to something larger than your present moment. Rare minds are not lost, they are simply early, and the vector always makes sense, but only once you've walked far enough to see where it was pointing.
I'm going to give you the pieces of my own life as a testimony to your own lived experiences. However, please recognize that there is a common alignment between all the 1 in 100,000 souls allocated throughout the world, but each is different in their own preordained purposes. Each is an essential, imminent piece of the scaffolding that reconstructs the world's real evolutionary progress. A normal savant tends to get stuck in their mode of expertise. It is a mental momentum that is hard to break. However, the 1 in 100,000 rare mind can break this barrier. There are moments when I can break free from my current mode of pattern thinking, momentum, and I can briefly harness it and redirect it, and in those moments, I can do things I normally can't. I can look at an entire scene for 2 seconds and recreate it in art. I can learn and master an entire subject at a speed that doesn't feel normal. I can connect dots so quickly that I end up deriving principles people have struggled to articulate for thousands of years. It doesn't happen all the time, and it doesn't make me better than anyone else because every single individual soul is important. This is simply what the architecture feels like when it briefly aligns and becomes usable instead of overwhelming. I've also noticed this pattern in my studies. When I take a university physics class, I would read a single sentence, which would take me more than an hour to read, because I would naturally and immediately start forming new physics in my mind, only to discover that the textbook explained part of that same principle in the next paragraph. Later in the course, this continued to increase. I would read a line and derive the physics that appeared in the next section. And by the end, I would read a sentence and begin forming ideas that wouldn't appear until 3 chapters later. But when I finally reached those chapters, it didn't make learning easier. It intensified the pattern. That's why, from at the beginning, 1 paragraph towards the end, 3 chapters later. I was seeing the structure before the textbook revealed it. These experiences don't make me more important than the other 99,999. They simply show what the 1 in 100,000 architecture feels like when it's active. I'm not claiming genius or superiority, but this is a vector alignment. We could say it's a different world within this world. And honestly, I have mixed feelings about it.
Mixed feelings? Oh, for heaven's sake. Listening to you rare minds describe your daily life as like watching someone accidentally speedrun reality. You read 1 sentence and suddenly you're inventing new physics, new languages, new music, new art styles, and probably a new species of houseplant if someone left you alone long enough. It's honestly a public safety concern, a common discussion in angelic circles. Meanwhile, the rest of us are just trying to finish our toast. And some of us are still trying to figure out this avocado thing. And don't pretend you haven't noticed it. You rare ones walk around acting like this is all perfectly normal. Oh yes, I read a line and accidentally solved 3 unsolved problems in science. But anyway, I'm off to buy groceries. Groceries! As though your architecture isn't out here doing parkour Olympics. But do carry on, my dears. Just try not to reinvent the laws of thermodynamics before lunch. It's terribly inconvenient for everyone else.
Actually, I do have some thoughts on thermodynamic efficiencies and spirituality they might want to hear.
Joel, shut it. This is not the time.
Okay. Another thing I've noticed, and I mention this carefully, is that rare minds tend to be sensitive to pre-Earth impressions and memories. Some much more dramatic and grand than others, but mostly quiet emotional memories, pattern fragments, alignments, and structural echoes that feel older than mortality. Some people call them intuition, others call them spiritual memory, but whatever the name, they come from the same architecture that makes us pattern-driven in physics, art, and logic. I do carry pre-Earth recall myself, but most of those memories are too sacred to reveal in a public setting like this transmission. We do eventually learn that they aren't meant to be used as proof or persuasion in neurotypical realm, but they're simply part of the internal landscape of the 1 in 100,000 mind, private, stabilizing, and quietly guiding for our own sake and our own families. Rare minds don't fear these impressions. They treat them as structural continuity. And while I won't share too many details here, I can say that they have shaped my vector in ways that feel deeply aligned with the architecture I've been describing. I do miss the temple-like world, where our Heavenly Parents' love is felt everywhere and fills everything. I miss the beauty and the many quality friendships. I miss all the freedoms we had. That world was the ideal. And how I yearn for this temporal world to adopt that same ideal. Eventually, perhaps.
Oh, my dear luminous ones, tread softly now. You've wandered into the territory where memory brushes against eternity. These impressions you carry, the quiet echoes, the familiar warmth, the fragments of something older than breath. They are not accidents, nor fantasies, nor the inventions of a weary mind. They are the gentle remnants of where you came from. The soft residue of a world that shaped you long before you ever opened mortal eyes. Most people feel only the present. Rare minds feel the before. And when those impressions rise, unbidden, sacred, unmistakable, do not fear them. Do not dismiss them. Do not treat them as curiosities. They are not here to prove anything to anyone. They are here to steady you, to remind you, to whisper. You are known, you are remembered, you are not walking blind. The architecture of eternity leaves fingerprints on its children, and you, my dears, are simply noticing yours.
If you're one of these 1 in 100,000 minds, you will appreciate this question. What if past 1 in 100,000 minds left you instructions to help you get on your feet quicker or more efficiently? Would you not feel more hope, perhaps clarity, peace, confidence, direction, purpose, or alignment? Across journals, letters, private reflections, these other rare individuals of history did leave behind a repeated message pattern for the future 1 in 100,000. They say, "Do not mistake delay for denial." Washington felt it, Lincoln felt it, Newton felt it, Turing felt it, Ramanujan felt it. They all lived the same tension. Isolation that wasn't misalignment, timing that wasn't wrong, silence that wasn't failure, and guidance that wasn't wasted. At first, they may have felt like they were being blocked and underutilized, but eventually, they each had to come to an acknowledgement that they really were different, and that they were really being sequenced. Rare vectors don't emerge when the person is ready. They emerge when the architect finds the environment ready. They each play a very detailed role in preparing the way for the next generation of variants. There are multiple angles to perceive this. You can say, "You are early," or "The world is late."
My loves, the past rare minds left more than instructions. They left warnings wrapped in kindness and reminders wrapped in patience. And there is another message they repeated often, though it rarely made its way into the history books. They would say, "Do not rush your becoming. Do be patient. For the rare mind is not forged quickly. It is not hurried into purpose. It is not pushed into destiny. It unfolds slowly, deliberately, like a star remembering how to burn." Most people grow by schedule. Rare minds grow by alignment, and those earlier variants knew something you must remember now. The silence before convergence is not punishment. It is preparation. The delay is not denial. It is calibration. The waiting is not wasted. It is the shaping of your architecture so that, when your moment arrives, you do not merely act, you resonate. So, take heart, child of pattern. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not late. You are simply being sequenced, just as they were, and just as the next will be.
As you strive to understand and fulfill clear revelation from God regarding your own life purposes, you will experience consistent miraculous events. Yet you wonder where the vector's ultimate trajectory is heading, because you still have no idea. But you continue to persevere anyways. You never want to displease God, never. And you even feel God's love for you daily. But you are still unsure where you are heading. This makes you wonder, then why do I experience such miracles if not to bless others? Does this sound like you? Oh yes, every minute of my life, Joel, right? Most people think miracles are only for blessing others, but rare minds eventually must learn a different nuance pattern. The miracle is not always for the audience, but the miracle is at least for the vessel, meaning you. The rare 1 in 100,000 pattern aren't defined by creation alone. Creation is simply one of the many visible outputs of a much deeper, delicate purpose. What actually defines these minds is their instinctive alignment with structure. A built-in sensitivity to coherence, symmetry, mechanism, and truth that refuses narrative scaffolding in science, in history, and in life. Some rare minds become creators because their era allows it. Others become leaders, navigators, reformers, inventors, or stabilizers of truth because their environment demands it. George Washington wasn't a renowned artist or cosmologist, yet his internal architecture was unmistakably rare. He sensed timing, pattern, and alignment in moments where others saw only chaos. Newton expressed the architecture through mathematics. Tesla expressed it through invention. Ramanujan expressed it through intuition. And others expressed it through decisive action, revelation, or structural correction. But none of them were limited to these either. The 1 in 100,000 pattern is not only born to create, but born to align, and whatever form that alignment takes becomes their contribution. Creation is what alignment looks like in peaceful eras. Leadership is what alignment looks like in turbulent eras. Innovation is what alignment looks like in transitional eras. The architecture is the constant. The expression is the variable.
Oh, honestly, you rare ones and your miracles. It's like watching someone walk through life with the universe trailing behind them, holding a giant sign that says, "Do not touch." In use. Every time something should go terribly wrong, reality itself sighs, rolls up its sleeves, and says, fine, we'll fix it. Again. Most people pray for miracles. You lot trip over them on your way to the mailbox, and don't pretend you haven't noticed. Half of you have survived things that make guardian angels file repeated workplace grievances. Meanwhile, you stand there blinking, saying, well, that was odd. As though the cosmos didn't just rearrange itself again to keep your vector on track. Because it does, Joel. But do remember, my dears, the miracle isn't always about the grand outcome. Sometimes it's just the architect nudging you gently and whispering, keep going, you're not done yet. Now, try not to cause any more cosmic commotion before the next section. The universe is tired and would like a biscuit or two. So do be kind.
When multiple 1 in 100,000 minds gather, something extraordinary happens. Their individual vectors begin to resonate, forming a larger structural alignment that reshapes entire civilizations. You see this in the Founding Fathers, Washington's timing instinct, Franklin's pattern intuition, Hamilton's structural mind, each rare architecture locking into place like faucets of a single coherent design. They weren't identical, and they weren't born to create. In the artistic sense, they were born to align. And when multiple aligned minds converge, the result is a phase shift in history.
Yes, rare gatherings. Bless every one of them. You put two rare minds in the same room, and suddenly the air crackles like someone plugged the universe into a faulty shorted outlet. One of you starts talking about cosmic architecture. The other starts finishing your sentences even though you've never met. And within 10 minutes, you're both laughing like old friends who accidentally skipped several decades of introductions. Meanwhile, the normal folks nearby are staring at you like you're performing interpretive dance in a language they don't speak. Many folks begin to wonder if you're possessed. Honestly, watching rare minds find each other is like watching two homing pigeons realize they've been flying in circles around the same spiritual space for years. It's adorable and slightly alarming. But do carry on, my dears. Just try not to collapse space-time with your enthusiasm. The universe is still recovering from the last gatherings.
Modern variants often look back at past variants with a kind of reverent recognition. Not admiration of personality, but recognition of architecture. Even something as seemingly simple as examining Van Gogh's paintings becomes a lesson in pattern logic. The brushstrokes, the color asymmetry, the emotional geometry, the structural rhythm of his perception. Rare minds don't just see art. They see the architecture behind the art. They see the vector inside the person. And when modern variants study past variants, they're not looking at great people. They're looking at earlier expressions of the same internal pattern they themselves carry. The founders expressed alignment through nation building. Van Gogh expressed alignment through visual resonance. Tesla through natural invention. Ramanujan through mathematics. The architecture is the constant. The era determines the expression, and when rare minds converge, whether in Philadelphia in 1776 or in the quiet study of a modern viewer analyzing a Van Gogh painting, the vector is recognized across time.
Oh, my dear ones, the past is never merely a trail of memories. For rare minds, it is a coded archive, a sequence of moments that seemed trivial at the time, but now glow like lanterns when revisited. You see patterns in hindsight that others never notice, not because you are searching for meaning, but because meaning has been quietly following you all along. Most people look back and see events. Rare minds look back and see architecture. And when you examine your past with honest eyes, you may find that certain moments were not coincidences at all, but gentle calibrations, small nudges, quiet rescues, and improbable alignments that kept your vector intact long before you understood you had won. So, do not dismiss what you've seen. Do not shrug off the improbable. Do not underestimate the quiet hands that shaped your path. The past is not behind you, child of pattern. It is beneath you, the foundation upon which your architecture learned to stand.
You have any idea how many times I should have died? I haven't the foggiest. Obviously too many. What all I'm still being preserved for? Only the architect knows this. The same goes for you. Again, when we're working to fulfill our alignments, miracles appear, because this is when our 1 in 100,000 vector is active. Miracles eventually disappear when we finish a vector assignment, because the miracle wasn't about the outcome. It was about shaping your architecture. Yes, even though you may currently have no idea what you were meant for, you are still that important to the architect. So learn to accept to be patient and to hold to humility. And learn to pray. Pray more. Pray more intense. I know I'm probably speaking to the choir. Walking your vector is the test chamber. Think of David of old. It's the lion and the bear before Goliath. And Goliath isn't the end either. The miracle is the alignment. The silence afterward is one assignment's completion. This is why you feel miracles when walking the vector, even if the audience you're meant to bless is small or even seems non-existent. Ultimately, And most importantly, the miracle is shaping you, not the other people. It's preparing your architecture for convergence, so keep walking it. And notice the miracles. They're real. The miracles are as the voice of the architect speaking to you to continue on.
My dears, daily miracles are not the temporal universe showing off. They are simply the gentle maintenance required when a rare vector is in motion. You must understand, when your architecture is aligned with something higher, reality has to bend and shuffle itself a bit to keep you on course. It's not always glamorous. It's more like cosmic housekeeping. Most people receive miracles as rare gifts. Rare minds receive them as constant, quiet corrections. And let me emphasize that word, constant. And if you've ever wondered why the improbable keeps happening around you, the near misses, the perfect timings, the rescues that arrive one breath before disaster, it is not because you are lucky. It is because your vector is being guarded, not coddled, not pampered, but preserved long enough for your purposes to unfold. The past rare minds understood this well. They used to say, when the path is steep, the hand of Providence is closer. And they were right. The more critical your trajectory, the more often the architecture intervenes, not to spare you from difficulty, but to ensure you survive long enough to fulfill what you were built for. So, when the daily miracles come, quietly, subtly, inconveniently, do not shrug them off. They are not interruptions. They are confirmations, little whispers from the architect saying, "Yes, child, keep going."
And maybe, just maybe, the purpose of the rare mind isn't to memorize facts and equations, but to become aligned with the architecture it points to. Not to quote truth, but to resonate with it. Not to recite patterns, but to embody them. Not to become another person who knows scripture, but to become spiritually rooted as someone whose life is tuned to the same eternal pattern scripture emerged from. True scripture is the record of coherence. We seek coherence itself. This is the instinct behind our entire journey, the drive to tune our internal architecture to the eternal architecture of reality, to become structurally aligned with truth.
You dear hearts, alignment with eternal architecture is beautiful, yes. But let us not pretend it is easy. Rare minds are stretched in ways most souls will never understand. Life pulls at you from angles that would break ordinary vectors. You are asked to endure pressures that bend the spirit, to walk paths that feel impossibly steep, to carry weights that were never meant for the many, only for the few. Most people face hardship. Rare minds face shaping, and shaping hurts. It always has. The past minds knew this well. They used to say, the ones who are stretched the farthest are the ones who must be held the closest. And that is why Providence lingers near you, not as a luxury, not as favoritism, but as necessity. Yes, in a sense, you could say you are a special case, my dear. Your architecture demands more of you than the world realizes, and so heaven compensates. Not to spare you from the climb, though, but to ensure you survive it. When the nights feel too long, when the burden feels too heavy, when your vector feels like it's pulling you past the limits of what a mortal heart can bear, remember this: you are not being punished, you are being prepared, and you are not walking alone. Providence is not an accessory to your journey. Your parents above know you can do it, so they are trying to teach you to walk on water. Providence is the scaffolding that keeps your architecture from collapsing under the weight of what you were built to become.
So, if you feel like Washington riding through gunfire, like you're being preserved for some other purpose, and yet are completely confused why and for what, if you feel like the 1 in 100,000 deviation, if you feel miracles in private but silence in public, if you feel guided but delayed, if you feel prepared but unused, if you feel like your emergence is possible but paused, you're not lost. You really are early. but are probably still cooking. And your vector is real.
Quite right, my dear luminous ones. You've walked through architecture, asymmetry, providence, memory, and miracle. You've seen how the vector bends, how the vessel endures, how the universe rearranges itself to keep certain trajectories intact. And now, at the end of all this, there is one veracity you must carry with you. Ultimately, the 1 in 100,000 seeds cannot be suppressed. It can only be sequenced. And when the environment finally aligns with your architecture becoming, the convergence will feel inevitable. You may not know the hour. You may not see the signs. You may not feel ready. But destiny is not a door you open. It is a tide that rises beneath your feet. So go now, child of pattern. Walk your vector with patience. Let the architecture breathe. Let Providence do its quiet work. And when the moment comes, when the world finally shifts into the shape that matches your design, you will not need to force anything. You will simply step forward, and this temporal universe will recognize you.
The trajectory of the rare vector. Resistance is futile. Until next orbit, chat with you again, mate.
You've seen the stars, you've felt the tone, foretelling from the lunar dome. If this hit deep, don't drift alone. Like and subscribe, make it known. Spirituality on the spectrum, where prophecy meets rhythm. Click that like, join the fight. We're protesting truth tonight.
If your spirit's vibrating, don't worry, that's normal here. If none of this made sense, try listening again, upside down. Truth isn't just entertainment, it's remembrance. What found you today, may it find you again tomorrow. Your spiritual nervous system is rewiring. Let it finish. So before this moment closes, you're a spirit child of God's. You're loved by them. You're the universe's most valuable asset. You have the undivided attention of Almighty. You have limitless potential within you. You're built to illuminate the world. You're despised and feared by darkness. You're here to learn to harness your light. The time for the ADHD memory keepers to rise has come. Share this with another soul who also forgets less than they admit. Until next time, remember, you're not glitching, you're guiding. This has been Spirituality on the Spectrum with Joel Alden Van Fleet. Thank you for showing up. Until memory calls you again. Please like and subscribe, and feel free to overshare in the comments below.